Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Uh, am I coming through okay?
I can hear you fine, Vivian.
Great, thank you.
Is that Vivian?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Vivian. Welcome back.
Oh, hi, Jerry. Good to see you. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Dee. I'm actually going to take my video and everything off because we're going to eat, but I'm a little behind today. I'm really looking forward to this. I love Calochortus.
Oh,
It's gonna be
thanks.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And you take such good pictures.
Thank you.
We'll be
Yeah.
starting in just a minute. All right, it's 7 o'clock. Let's get started. Welcome, everybody. I'm Vivian New, and I'm going to be your host tonight. And we are here for a talk on the Calochortus Treasure Hunt, Part 2. And Dee Himes is our speaker tonight. I wanted to acknowledge that the work done by the Santa Clara Valley chapter of CNPS lies in the homeland of the Ama Mutsun tribal band, the Tamiya Nation, the Ramaya Tusholoni, and the Muwekma Ohlone, who still live and thrive in this area today. We hope to learn from them and support their work to restore traditional practices and to heal from historical trauma. If this is your first talk with us, we would love to know about how you found out about us and where you are. So if you're comfortable with it, if you could share that in chat, we would appreciate it. And our talks are always done by a team. And so, as I mentioned before, I'm the host and I'm also taking care of the Zoom tech in the background. Radhika Tekut, who is the past president of our chapter, is going to be handling the Q&A and chat. And so for those of you who are joining us on YouTube, Radhika and I will both be monitoring chat there. So if you have any questions for Dee, you can type them in chat and we'll make sure she gets them. And of course, most importantly, we have our speaker, Dee Himes. If you're not familiar with the California Native Plant Society, we're a nonprofit environmental organization that was founded in 1965. We have over 13,000 members in 36 chapters. And we are not just a state organization, we're actually international because our chapters encompass all of California as well as Baja California. Our chapter is the Santa Clara Valley chapter, and we have all of Santa Clara County, and then we also have southern San Mateo County. Our mission is to protect California's native plants and their natural habitats today and into the future. We do that through science, education, stewardship, gardening, and advocacy. If you're not currently a member, we would love to have you join us. In addition to supporting programs like this, your membership benefits will include not just one, but two wonderful magazines, Artemisia, which has a lot of interesting scientific articles about California's native flora, and then Flora, which is a wonderful general interest magazine with lots of gardening tips, beautiful stories, interesting information about various places around the state. They are wonderful publications. You'll also receive our chapter newsletter, The Blazing Star, which tells you about things that are coming up and has articles of local interest. And you get discounts at participating local nurseries. So if you're not a member, please consider joining. Super easy. Either go to snap the QR code or just simply go to cnps.org/join and you can sign up online. Our chapter is a very active one, and we have a lot of things going on. Later on this week, we have a field trip to the Red Hills, and that's a wonderful bit of serpentine. It's, as I mentioned before, it's on April 2nd. You can find out more information on our meetup, and you also do need to RSVP if you want to attend that one. We do a lot of habitat restoration. So upcoming on Saturday, we have two activities, one at Lake Cunningham in San Jose and another one at Kirk Park, which is also in San Jose. Toward the end, in a few weeks, we have our native plant ID meeting, and that's at the Peninsula Conservation Center. And that one will actually be focusing on lupins, which is a fun group. And then that same week, we have our photo group meeting on April 25th, which is on Zoom. That's also really fun. If you are a photographer and want to share pictures, it's a great meeting. But if you just like to look at beautiful pictures, it's also a wonderful thing it's a wonderful way to wrap up your week on the Friday evening. You can find out more about these activities on our website, cnps-scv.org, or in our meetup group. And both those QR codes will take you to either our website or meetup. We also have our garden tour coming up less than 2 weeks before it's on April 12th and 13th. Totally free. We have over 50 gardens in both Santa Clara and San Mateo County. You just have to register on gngt.org in advance, and then you'll get the information about the gardens, and you can plan out the weekend because it is a lot of gardens to see in a very short time. And so you'll have to pick and choose what you want to go to. We also have our wildflower show coming up at the end of April. That's on April 26th at West Valley College. It is our 50th show. And so we have an especially exciting lineup of speakers this year. We have John Muir Laws. I think most of you probably know who he is. Kate Marienchild. I'm expecting that a lot of you might have already read her book, Secrets of the Oak Woodland. And then our executive director will be there to give a talk about what's going on with CNPS, both right now and what our thoughts are about the future. So I hope all of you are saving that date and time because it's really going to be a wonderful show. And by the way, if anyone is interested in collecting for us, just get a hold of me, or if you know Judy Fennerty, you can contact her too. But we are looking for more collectors for the show. If you are not on our news email list, I would recommend getting on it because it's only one message a week and it just tells you what's coming up in the upcoming week. And we do have a lot of things going on, as you can see from the last slide. It's very easy to subscribe. You can get that. You can either take a picture of this slide, or you can simply go on our website, cnps-scv.org, and the information is there. Okay, before we get started on the talk, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you're not currently muted, please mute yourself. If you have any questions, please type them into chat. Doesn't matter, as I mentioned before, if you're on YouTube or if you're on Zoom, just put them in the chat, and Radhika and I will be monitoring, and Radhika will read the questions at the end of the talk. We do expect to finish by 9 o'clock. And as I mentioned before, this is available on both YouTube and Zoom, and the recording will be available on YouTube. So tonight's program is the second part of Dee Himes' Calochortus treasure hunt. She and her husband Ken spent a couple years going around the state, tracking down every single Calochortus species. And today we get to hear the second part of that talk. So thank you so much for being here, Dee. We're just very appreciative that you're willing to do this for us. And I'm going to stop my share and give it to you.
Thank you. Let me see how we do this. Okay, is that coming up? Line.
Yep, looks good.
Okay.
Oh, now you're...
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me for the second part of the Calochortus treasure hunt for California. Last week, we did some data analysis of the genus Calochortus. There were lots of photos, a lot with details, and tonight we continue with that similar format. So here we have what we did last week, and today we'll go through the Mariposa section and the Cyclobothra section here. Okay. So tonight, so here's a little review of what we did last week. So we went through the Calochortus section, which includes the globe lilies, cat's ears, and and the star lilies. So tonight we'll go into the Mariposa section, which includes the Vesnusti type, which has 16 taxa, Macrocarpi, which is only have 2 taxa, only one in California and another one outside of California. Then we go on to Nataliani, which in California we have 12 taxa. There are no Gunnison in California. They're all outside, so we will not be going through that. You'll have to catch the rest of the US tour. And then we'll end with the Cyclobothra section, which is the Weedy Annie type, which is mainly in the Southern California. All right. So all right, so let's start off with Mariposa. Mariposa it looks like this in this picture, and it's one of the characteristics is that as the evening come upon us, the petal starts to fold. It will start closing, and that will help it preserve its pollen and keep it warm for the night. And its basal leaves usually withers before flowering. So when you see the flowers, usually you can't see the basal leaves. The fruit capsules are three-angled. And then we have them, we'll go into the Venusti subsection, which are the Venustis. As you all know, when we come upon the Venusti type, which Venustis is the most representative of this subsection, it's the flowers are campanulate, and the flowers is also erect. Mainly there's many variations in its nectaries, and also the patterns of the flowers are different. So for the Venusti subsection, there is a species called Calochortus catalinae, which has a different type of looking capsule, which is mainly rounded end at the tip. So I have a picture of that. Most of the Venusti fruit capsules are mainly upright, erect, and quite long. The Venusti type subsection mainly are restricted to California, except for 2 species, striatus and flexosis. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see the listed 16 taxa for California. I won't go through that. So the first species we'll talk about, Calochortus argilosus. It occurs in 10 counties. It flowers around April, June. It grows in hard clay soil from volcanic to metamorphic type rocks. Elevations are mainly less than 800 meters. And you can see they're mainly along the coast range. And here's an overlay of the California floristic province from Jepson, and iNaturalist observation map overlay. So we have the argilosus here, and how do we recognize it? Mainly, it has a central red spot within a pale blotch, and there is no second blotch. When we get to the Venustus, we'll have comparison of what they all look like. The sparse hairs. Anthers are pink, purple, yellow to white, and the anthers are. Hold on, oops. hold on for a sec. I just pressed the wrong button. Hold on for a sec. Oh no, I just lost my screen. Oh, darn. Okay, I pressed the wrong button and I lost my screen.
We can still see it really well. Now it's showing a landscape. I mean, like the sky and
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Oh, I see. Actually, no. Now we are looking at your desktop. Oh,
Okay, so hold on a sec. So the meeting. So am I still sharing the screen? Oh,
you are still sharing the screen, but I think we're looking at your desktop right now.
oh, we are? So I already. Oh,
Yeah, is your background just a really nice landscape with the sky?
yeah,
Yeah, that's what we
but
see.
but I actually turned that off. So that is the landscape. Unshare. Okay, thank you. I will unshare and reshare. Thanks. Yeah. So how do I unshare? Ugh.
Yeah, you're not sharing now.
Okay, thank you. Oh God. Excuse me. Oh, well. Oh, I could get rid of this. There we go. Thank you.
There you go. Looks
There we
great.
go. Too many things going on. All right. I was trying to move that so I can see my screen. And I think I want to minimize that. All right. Okay, there we go. So the neck trees here for the argilosis is crescent shaped or chevron, not depressed and densely short. The hairs are quite short and dense. Here we have a cluster of argilosis at Mount Eminem in Santa Clara Valley. And you see the variable patterns it can have, even with argilosis. A normal one with the red patch here, and the one on top has a much more faded patch. Here in Edgewood Park, the argilosis also grow amongst luteus. And this is a typical argilosis flower, that too. So we move on to Calochortus catalinae, and that's mainly down in Southern California, out in the Ventura, Santa Barbara area. It occurs in 7 counties, flowers April, June, hard clay, volcanic, and metamorphic rocks, elevations less than 800 meters. It's listed under the CRPR, the California rare plant list is 4.2, which is under watch, I believe. It's not totally endangered. And we went to Topanga State Park that year, and we walked on this trail to look for Catalinae, and they were quite abundant on some of the grassy meadows. And these are the trail signs, and we went around this loop outlined here. And the LA fire actually burned parts of this park, and there's limited access to the trails. And here we are walking along the trail, looking at, they were tall, the flowers are very tall, and they're like blowing in the wind, so it was very dreamy. White flowered on the inside, and it's kind of pink, has a pinkish lilac coloring on the outside of the petal. And as you can see, the capsule is rounded rather than the sort of a straight edge of the other Venusti type. Here's the inside of Catalinae. That's a longhorn bee male. I counted all the sections. So It's got purple spot near the base, glabrous, and the nectars are not depressed. There's dense hairs on it. The anthers are interestingly shaped. They look like a boat paddle. It's flat. If you notice the anther tip, it looks like a it looks pretty flat. It's not swelled up as it matures. And the filaments are deep purple. It's listed deep purple, but it looks maroon to me. So deep coloring. And we also camped at Leo Carrillo Campground, and they were growing along the trail in this area. That's above the campground. And there was so much deerweed. I think it came in, probably got burned, throughout its lifetime of the area. And it's very thick. I've never seen deerweed so thick and robust. And it's growing through these artemisia areas. It grows through deerweed as well. And I was, as I mentioned, as the evening comes, the flower starts to close, and I found this lighting on the flower quite beautiful, and then there was a spider on it, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I love the lines and the tone and the contrast. Calochortus dunnii, that's mainly in one county in San Diego, and it flowers in June. It's in dry, stony ridges in chaparral yellow pine forests, elevations between 1,500 to 1,700 meters. It's listed 1B2. And we were fortunate enough to find this off a bank on the side of the road. It's white with the red dot, and the hairs are short on the nectaries. And you have the anthers are pale white to pink with the dilated filament and the red spot above the nectary. And then you got yellow hairy trichomes near and inside the nectary. And the nectaries are round but not depressed. So flexosis. Then we head out to the desert out in Inyo County. It occurs in 3 counties, flowering in June, also in dry, stony ridges in chaparral and yellow pine forests. And where we found it, we were out in the Mojave Desert in the Kingston Range. And we went to a campground called Horse Thief Camp. And from the Highway 15, we drove through the range and came out of Tacopa. Here's the campground, and it has Mojave yuccas growing as its forest. And then we camped at Peg Leg, which was pretty good. It's a brand new toilet when we were there. Very nice. And flexosis, as the name implies, that it's very flexible, and it weaves through all this vegetation. I would say it's not that it likes to grow within the sagebrushes, is that the ones that don't grow in the protection of the sagebrushes, they get eaten up. So what happens is, in my theory or my observation, is that they tend to thrive or survive when they are within other vegetations as a protection. A lot of beetles. Every time I take a photo of the flowers, there's always a pollinator in there. There's very rarely that I don't come upon a pollinator. And as you can see, the inside of the flower, it's got these short orange hair with a yellow base. And it's kind of pinkish to lilac color as they describe it. It could be light, it could be much darker, deeper in color. Here is the lilac to white petal with a spot, red spot with a yellow band. And then you've got the nectary with the short hairs. And then you've got white to lilac anthers. And here you can see how its stem kind of it kind of weaves, almost vine-like, weaves through the vegetation to get above it for flowering. And there's the seed capsule. If you remember the Cataline, it's rounded, kind of where this is much more acute. It kind of has a sharp tip here. Here it is growing amongst the sagebrush. It's Artemisia tridentata. And I woke up early in the morning to try and see if I could catch the view of some sleeping bees, and I did. These are two male bees, longhorn bees, and they were snuggled in this flower, and it was quite amazing. I was so thrilled. Did my happy dance. Calochortus linnei. It occurs in 20 counties, all on almost along the Sierra to the eastern side of the Sierra. Occurs in June to August. It's quite common in that area, and it's growing in open gravelly places, chaparral montane conifer forests, 1,300 to 4,000 meters in elevation. And outside distribution also in southern Oregon and western Nevada. In fact, Letnii, if you were here last week, Letnii has the highest elevation of all the other Calochortuses. So we have at Inspiration Point above Alpine Lake in Alpine County. There's a trail that goes up here, and you can look down and see Lake Alpine. And it was abundant that year. I can't remember, it was like 2020, in the 2021. No, that can't be right. Probably, I can't remember when. But anyways, it was when one of the years where Pat Evans had done a field trip at her place in Calaveras area. So lots of, I couldn't resist doing a selfie with the linnei. And this is out in Placer County. I found some more, quite common even on the roadside. And what for me the linnei is kind of cool is that its anthers are sagittate. If you notice, it's kind of like an arrow. So let's go through its keys. It's got red to black spot here above the nectary. The nectaries with short hair, kind of ovate, and dense short hair again, tends to be a little bit hidden. And here is the sagittate anthers, white to light yellow. And we have Calochortus luteus, occurs in 38 counties, flowering April through June. It occurs in heavy soils and grassland, woodland, mixed evergreen forests. Lower elevation, they also occur outside of California in southern Oregon, which there was one collection, but nobody has been able to find it again, so that's kind of a strange, questionable. And here it is, 38 counties, mainly focusing in the middle of California. We found some out in San Luis Obispo County, right on the coast, abundant. And you can see the yellow petals. It's got a dark brown pot patch here. And then it's also lined with these yellow dots of brown color. And the sparsely hair, the nectaries are crescent shape, dense, short matted hairs, anthers are yellow, even the whole flower is yellow too. Here they sometimes grow in bunches, sometimes onesie twosies, and they seem to be able to get through the grasslands, weedy grassland, on native grasslands. Here it is, nectar, native bee, not nectaring, but actually gathering pollen for probably for its nest, for its larvae, egg. Here out in Edgewood, along the trail, there's the luteus growing with the argilloses, and here's the nectary crescent shape. And here, different variations of a theme. There's one that kind of smallish, the petals small, and you've got really robust type. So something's happening. Is it because it's a tetraploid? I'm not sure. And here it is, a moth party, twirler moth, and it's like a lot. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's more, yeah, more than a dozen moths in that flower, which is pretty amazing. Then we go on to Calochortus palmeri, variety palmeri, occurs in 8 counties, mainly down Southern California, down in the left corner here. Flowers through May through July, mainly in moist vernally meadows near yellow pine forests and chaparral. It's listed 1B, 1B2 in elevation between 1,200 to 2,200 meters. There's the overlay and there's the observations. So we went to Paiute Mountain near Paiute Peak out at Kern County. Here's Bakersfield, and this is Lake Isabella. So we somehow drove through this area and got ourselves up to these forest routes, and this is Weldon Meadow. That's where it's found. And 7,000 feet elevation. There's Ken with the Jepson, with the Jepson manual. And you can drive right by Park Nixon, and there's actually a gate that you go through to keep the cattle out. And it's a very bright fuchsia pink flower, although small, but they're very, very vibrant. It's got these orangey hairs. Bees, I think that's honeybee, I think. Funny looking bee. Beetles of all kinds like to hang out. And we also found some in the San Gabriel Mountains in LA. And it's on the Angeles National Forest. It's on the #2 highway right there. And we found it in this area. It's an abandoned campground, and here we have totally abandoned, and Ken's weeding out all the non-native grasses so that he's giving the palmeri, the Calochortus, a better chance that year. And here it is. It looks a lot different from the first site that we went to, more pinkish and more robust, taller, rather than the other one, which were really short and like single flowers. And you can see the capsule's long and narrow. And even so, there's some variation. This is probably already finished pollinated, maybe. That's why the nectaries are kind of old rusty looking. This is more a fresh flower. Here's the difference. So that's probably what's happening. I'm not too sure. We've seen a lot of variations. So Palmeri variety Munsii is 1B2. It's quite rare, and it's only in 3 counties. Flowers in June. A very short window. We got there just in time. It's at the tail end of it in the San Jacinto Mountains right here. And it's on the Pines to Palm Highway on 74 in Riverside County. And this is it's the habitat it's found in. Well, this is the habitat. It's more grassy, and there's hedgehog cactus growing amongst it. Here it is. We had to get over the fence, and then here is the plant, the flower. Very small, very tiny, pink, very delicate. I mean, gosh, it was just very short. There it is. And I put the two species taxa together, and the Palmeri Munsii don't seem to have any nectaries. It has hairs, but there's a little bump there versus the Palmeri has a whole bunch of nectaries with hairs and more complete. So I don't know what's going on with that. Then we have Calochortus similans, the Lapanza mariposa, occurs in 3 counties. Flowers in May through July, occurring in sandy soil, often granitic, grassland to yellow pine forest, elevation mid-range less than 1,100 meters. It's listed 1B3. And we see this is the East Pozo Road, and they're mainly located in this section. La Panza down here is where the campground is, and then as you drive past the campground, they're all along the side of the road banks. Pretty cool. They're on these rocky, very granitic rocks. And white, another white one. It looks like the other white ones that has the red center. We've come across a couple of those already. And interestingly, if you look at the nectary, it is absolutely a square nectary. And then the nectary isn't depressed, so that it doesn't bulge out. Narrow fruit capsules. And here is a beautiful sample. No, didn't get bee bombed on it, photobombed. And then there is a spot here above the nectary. That's one of its IDs. And the spot could kind of merge with the other parts of it. So it's very variable, but the key thing is the square nectary, which is your probably defining key. And also its locality. It grows only on in La Panza. We found a yellow one. There's only one. And then again, and only difference is the yellow color, yellow petals. The whole plant is yellow except for the anthers and its the filaments, the stamens. And then we have, it grows amongst grasses, castellias, bushes, everywhere. They're not really picky. And then some are pink, and we found one that's got pink tinges on it. It's very pretty, almost looks like a rose. Then we go into Calochortus splendens. It's mainly along Coast ranges, 22 counties, flowering May to July, in dry, often granitic soils, and elevations about 2,800 meters. These are the iNaturalist observations. We found it in Fraser Park at the corner of the road. They're quite common, very pretty and delicate. The pink. Some are hairy. Some of the nectaries are kind of real small and shallow. And then we found some, and then we went to Trabuco Canyon in Orange County, and we found at O'Neill Regional Park, as well as Majeska Peak Hike is a very steep trail that you go up, and they're along the trail. And here is on Edna Spalding Trail, back at the O'Neill Park. You have to pay to get in there, so we decided to go in and see what we could find. We were looking for Calochortus weedii intermedius, but we found splendens instead for that time of year. It looks very different from the one out in Fraser Park. These are much taller. We noticed the anthers are really sharp. It looks like a lance. And there's nectary versus the other ones were kind of crystally white color. It rained the night before, so there's raindrops on these flowers. And then I had to pull out these two bees because they were drowning in the water that had collected inside the petal. So I pulled them out and kind of resuscitated them. Here's a nice picture of the petal with the raindrops. Calochortus striatus occurs in 3 counties, mainly in the Mojave Desert area. And it is flowering April through June in alkaline meadows, moist creosote bush scrub areas type ecology, and the elevations of 800 to 1,400 meters. It's rare, listed 1B2. And this quite a few places, but the place we went to was Lake Isabella in Kern County. And there's a open space nature preserve that we found, and it's restricted entrance. And we were able to take some pictures close to the fence. And then this was taken 2016 or on my iPhone 6. This is the iPhone 6 photo. It was very, very nice. And then here is a close-up picture. And if you could try and remember this picture, this flower, and there's another, there's more observations that we found, more population we found elsewhere. Get bee-bombed again. And then out in San Gabriel Mountain, this is on the road. Ken was driving, I saw this pretty snow scene. So this is out in Lancaster for the second population of striatus. It's along Avenue D in Lancaster. And they're all along the road, and they're even on people's property. People's front yard and things like that. So this one, if you notice, the striatus, the flowers are much bigger and taller and just more robust. So I did a little research on that, and apparently this is a tetraploid, meaning it has 4 chromosomes, which for plant, it would make the plant more robust, bigger flowers, more desirable. Whereas when it occurs in mammals and other creatures, they become deformed. So as you can see, they're much more robust and upright, thick stems. Here's the inside. That could be a diploid. It looks a little different, smaller. And this is, here's a beautiful example of a tetraploid. And here it is. It was there was a spider here that I didn't see until I took the photograph afterwards. Then we have a Calochortus superbus. Occurs in 25 counties. Flowers in May through July. Common open grassland, woodland, and dry meadows. Elevation's about 1,700 meter. It occurs mainly along the spine of the foothills of the Sierras and some parts of the out in the Coast Range. So this is out on Highway 36. And if you notice, the nectary here is V shape. I call it V shape rather than chevron, because it's very V to me, and I don't know, it's just my preference. And here it is. A population of superbus on clay soil, rocky outcrop. And here is a variable nectary there. This is daughter wrapping around on the stem of the Calochortus. Some more bees again, and here's the fruit capsule. Here's a cluster of superbus. And then this was a yellow suburbus I found, and Ron Parson emailed me back to say this was actually a cross with luteus. If you notice, if you look at the pattern, it's very luteus markings, but it's but the nectaries are very V-shape, chevron shape. Calochortus syntrophus is in 3 counties, mainly in the northern part of this California. Occurs in May through June, abundant where found. But that year when we were, last year we were there, it was not quite abundant. It depends on, the rain, how much rain you get. So they occur in stony sandstone, blue oak woodland, 500 to 17 meters high elevation, and it is listed as 1B1. That I was grateful somebody had given me the location for this. It was very hard to find. So we had to clamber through this burned area, and that they had cut out, and it was bushwhacking. And then we got up to this plateau, and it grows, and there weren't very many. I mean, this was the best example of the flower. It's yellow, and there's red patch here. And this is how it looks. So this is, the yellow is not the normal form. It's the white one that is the normal form. And it was further down the road. And the nectaries have short hair. It's got short hairs around the nectaries, and then the margins are fringe on the petal. And here's a comparison of Syntrophus with Dunnii. So you got the central blotch, and you've got the basal part that's yellow. Then you've got the red spot, but this one, Dunnii, does not have the yellow part at the base. That's the difference. And also its locality. Centrofa is in Northern California, where Dunny is down in San Diego. Calochortus venustus. This one is just amazing in terms of the species. It's so variable, depending on what location you're at, and it occurs in 28 counties. Flowers May through July. It occurs in sandy, often granitic soil, grassland, woodland, yellow pine forest. Ranges in elevation from 300 to 2,700 meters. And then here is the overlay. And here's the morphology of venustus. So there's a blotch within a yellow blotch. The second blotch, and then you've got variable nectaries. That could be chevron, rectangular, squarish, transverse, you name it, you got it. But the most important thing is looking for the yellow blotch, but there is an exception because sometimes there are no second blotch. You have to look at the nectaries. Here's one that's squarish. Here's one sort of chevron-like. This is between a square and a lunate. Here's one that's kind of squarish, but more rounded. So a lot of variable. So there's multiple things to look in the venustus to determine which one it is. And here you have one that does not have the second blotch. And this is out in Mariposa County. So we have some venustus here as we're driving on Highway 190. And again, these don't have a second blotch. And here's a more regular type with the second blotch in the squarish, roundish, or transverse variable nectary. And all different colors and variations. There's kind of yellowish, pale yellow, dark yellow, deeper yellow, white with big blotches. And then we got some more male bees. And then we got to Fraser Park, which has that red population of red venustus. And they're just beautiful. They're like a rosebud, if you didn't know. All a variation of many, I wouldn't say 100, but tens of 20s of different variables of the red flower. Some are pale, some are deep, very deep red. The blotches is white instead of red. So just amazing. Just running around the area trying to photograph each one of them. And there's the squarish nectarine, very deep red again. I mean, just. And when we were photographing this, someone actually was cutting. She had in her arms like 6 or 7 flowers in her arms. She was collecting it to use as cut flower, and I kind of educated her to say, hey, they're better out out in the wild. She was collecting from this area. I freaked out. So here it is. And this is noontime lighting. Top light can be beautiful. They all light up like light bulbs. It's one of my favorite lighting. Then we go to Calochortus vestae. Occurs in 8 county. Flowers May through July. Occurs in clay soil, mixed evergreen or yellow pine forest. Elevations kind of low on the lower side, 500 to 900 meters. Mainly up in northern part of Coast Range. North Coast Range in the Klamath region. And here it is. It looks like a venustus. But the only thing different is this one is the double, I call it a mustache, Mr. Mustachio. Double chevron. That's what it means by double chevron. When I first read the description of double chevron, I thought it would be two stacking on top of over each other, like, like in the army. I just couldn't figure it out. And then when I finally came upon the flower and I looked at it, it's like, this is the weirdest looking nectary. And indeed, this is what double chevron looks like. So here we also went to Dos Rios. I had a bunch of these along the roadside. This is out in Bartlett Spring, this one in Dos Rios. Variations again. I mean, yeah, it's just beautiful. Beetles, then you got whites. I think these were eaten up by insects. And then, different patterns. It could look like Venustus. It could be luteus markings with some yellow. Who knows? So just amazing. I mean, just this little corner on the side of the road. I mean, we're just like each one of them look different. So who's who in this category? Superbus, argilosus, venustus, vestae. So if you want to do a kind of a test for yourself, you want to write down which one's which before I reveal. So I'll give you, I counted 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So number 1 is argilosus. Number 2 is superbus. Number 3 is venustus. And number 4 is vestae. So if you look at venustus, you've got this crescent shape or type nectary, and then you have a squarish shape for the red ones. And then to throw in this one, this is similins. Kind of looks similar, but that's all the different kinds of venusti type that looks similar. All right, so we have finished with the venusti type. We go on to macrocarpa, which is only one species for this category. So macrocarpi is a monospecific one species. Macrocarpus variety macrocarpus is in California. Maculos is not in California. It's further out. It's Idaho, that area, I believe, or Oregon. I forget. Anyway, it's further out. And the very large occurs in 4 counties, Siskiyou in this corner of California, June to August when it occurs, mainly in the sagebrush scrub and pine forests, volcanic soils. 13 to 2,000 meters in that area. And then this is the area that we found it in, and this is Shasta, Mount Shasta. And they're growing throughout these sagebrushes. Again, they grow up bushes so that they don't get eaten, or those are what's left that don't get eaten are growing within the bushes. They can be quite tall, about 18 inches tall, and the flowers are very large, as big as could be 4 inches wide, and it's purple lilac in color. The sepals are very long, and it has a kind of a mid-rib on the petal. I believe I kind of theorize that when the petals are so big, you need some kind of support. It's like a corset rib thing that you stick in there so that the flowers don't flop over. And here's the inside close-up of that. And one of the petals fell off. So that's what it looks like on the side view. And this, again, a front view, top view. See how long the sepals are? And here is generally there's a purple band around the petal all around, and then you've got it's bearded above the nectary, and the nectaries are also, they describe it as sagittate or triangular. So I drew a line, so looks like an arrow. And then here is a different location. And you can see the nectary there. It's a little different too. So that is the end for the Natalia, the Venusti. So we're going to go on to the second part of the Mariposa for Nataliani. Let's see, how do I close that? And then, all right.
So Dee, there are a couple of questions in the chat. Do you want
okay.
to take them before you go to the next part?
Sure, okay.
Okay. So Vivian wants to know, how do you decide when to go to specific locations to look for each species?
A lot of research. Ken has a memory bank of where he went 20 years ago. Those are one of the key places we'll go to, is visit his old sites. Then I'll read the Calochortus book from Gerritsen and Parson and look at what location he gives. I will also look at CalFlora as well as iNaturalist to see what observations are available to be seen, because quite a few are what do you call it, obscured. And emailing, texting people online to ask for sharing of lat longs for locations. And looking at the time, they tell us the time of year, as well as when you look at records to see when it was recorded.
Nice, thank you. And there is a comment by Rebecca Reynolds who says, I love how you're showing, where someone can go to see each species. So, your maps that show where each species occurs, which counties is, I think, very useful.
Oh, thank you.
And Vivian has another question. She says, any ideas about why Venustus is so variable?
I don't know that question, but I believe there's she's actually head of Vivian knows her. Vivian actually what's
Oh,
that?
Adriana?
Yeah,
Are you talking about-
Adriana did that. That's her paper.
I should
She
go
did
back.
her thesis on that, the color variation. So she actually presented for us on her paper.
You're right. I
multiple
need to go
times.
and look at that.
Yeah, I
Talk
didn't want
again.
to touch into that because that's so complex. It's like, it's like I don't. Yeah, it explains the trend of color and why the red is there, and she did DNA and all that stuff. So that's
And
I'll
it's
go back. Thanks,
yeah.
Dee.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you're
Dee. And it sounded like from your comments that different colors actually occur in the same location.
yes. So just within, inches of each other, you've got white, you've got red, you got orange, it's like crazy. I mean, Ken and I were just running around, kind of like trying to photograph them all. It's exhausting. I would just stand there, just like my mind would just go.
Nice. Thank you. I don't see any questions on the YouTube chat, so go ahead with your presentation.
All
That's
right.
it. Yeah.
Great. So we go on to Nataliani, which are this section. There's 12 taxa in California, and these are some of the 9 species listed on the right. So they are more bigger, more robust looking, and they've got different I won't go through this. Anyway, this is what it looks like. And this is the fruits are very long and linear, and at the very tip they're very pointy, acuminate. Three angle, very prominent. If you do a cross section, it actually looks like it's three winged. So Brunonus. So a lot of people online and iNaturalists have confused Brunonus with Letnii. So the reason is some parts of the area, they don't look like what I have here. This is the California type, I call it. Occurs in 7 counties, May through August. Occurs dry shrub or grassland in pinyon to juniper woodland. Elevation 1,700 to 3,000 meters. They occur, oops, sorry. They occur outside of California, sorry, anyway, fast fingers. So this is what it looks like. Again, there's a little midrib here on the petal. Sometimes when you put a flower against the sunlight or the light, you can see different textures and also some anatomical features that you don't see when you're looking at when you're looking on top of it. So Brunonus, we found this out in Rock Creek Road in Mono County. It's the corner of the Palisades campground entrance. So this is the Brunonus that we have. I won't show the one that other people get confused because those are really out in Nevada and out of California. So when I do that section, when I do the other state, I will pull that up and compare that. So they look like eyes. I mean, they're so deep and so almost cartoonish like. Again, the bees love it. They get bee bombs everywhere. I mean, it's just amazing. So here is the nectary. It's got covered with short hair. And then you've got a purple patch here, as well as the nectary is depressed. So when you look at the outside, it has a little bulge. And it's encircled with these fringe membrane. They call these membrane. And there's some short and very few short hair. It's golden color, golden yellow color near the nectary. And the nectaries are surrounded with dead. So the base has some yellow at the base. So those are your key, some of the keys. So also some people have confused this with Letnii. So Letnii, as you remember, the anthers are sagittate and the color is white or light yellow, where Brunonus, the anthers are purple. So that's the difference. And it's not sagittate. And then here the base is dilated. When they say the filament base is dilated, it means it just expands, gets wider at the base. Calochortus clavatus, variety clavatus, occurs in 4 counties, mainly in Monterey County down to Ventura, and it's in the Channel Islands as well. Occurs April to June, generally in serpentinite, less than 13 meters, 1,300 meters in elevation, and it's listed as 4.3. Quite common, but could. Here it is. So we found this out at San Luis Obispo area. This is I believe it is Cuesta. There's a radio tower up there. There's also ecological sensitive area up on Cuesta Drive. And as you can see, so Calochortus clavatus has this brown ring. And it's club hair. Clevatus means club. And here's the center of it again. Side view. Very yellow. It's very contrast with the maroon or brown stripes. And you can see the capsule is very large and erect, and it kind of narrows into a pointy tip. Also, there's little variations on the flowers growing next to each other. They could kind of vary in markings. Some are lighter, some are much deeper and darker. So Calochortus clavatus variety avius occurs in 3 counties, mainly in El Dorado, Amador, and Calaveras. Flowers in May through July. Occurs in open oak and pine forests. Elevation about 900 1,800 meters. It is a rare listed 1B2. And here it is. We found an Oma Road in El Dorado National Forest in El Dorado County. And again, the signature classic fruit capsule upright. And you can see the nectary here is a little more shallow, and the marking doesn't have that brown band as with like clavatus clavatus. And one of the key is that the sepal is longer than the petal. That's one of the keys to define it. Here's the fruit capsule. And it's also the triangular. There's the 3 winged here. And this is out on Ice House Road in El Dorado County. Again, it's on the side of the road. So you got to be careful. There's nowhere to park. So we were kind of taking a risk to park on a narrow strip of side of the road. So this one has a little ring around it where the other one doesn't have much. See, this one doesn't have a brown ring around it. So it's variable. So Clavatus variety pallidus occurs in 8 county, mainly starting from Stanislaus to the southern part of California. Occurs flowering April through July. Rocky slopes and chaparral, open forests, and often serpentinite. Less than 1,300 meters. And we actually went on this road, similar road, from McKitterick to Santa Margarita Road. This is where we found a pallidus. We were actually on our way to Pozo, looking around for similins. But we came upon this. This was a surprise. We're driving up. I'm the queen of Calochortus spotting. So while Ken drives, I look around and spot the treasures. This is on Carissa Highway, Highway 58 in SLO County. This was last year in June. This is the inside of pallidus. Not much of a marking, mainly just all yellow. Again, classic. And then we also found it in LA. This is out at Misha Makwa Trailhead, Yerba Road out in LA. And it's probably all in these areas. They're spotted. So in this area, we found plumeray, Calochortus plumeray as well. And you can see that in the next slide, in the next presentation. And lots of people go hiking here. This is a trailhead where you park on either side of the road. It's got a lot of, I think they're deerweed. LA has a lot of deerweeds. It's amazing. And not sure what is that. Woolly, I think, is it woolly blue curls? I'm not sure. Anyway, so here Palladus has some brown markings on the base. They grow through deerweed along the trail. And then we also found some out in Lake Eleanor in Ventura County on this road. And it was on a bank along the road. It was quite steep. I had to climb up to the top of this little bank to get this shot. And here's so this was Cresta Ridge that we went to find Calochortus clavatus. And I also found this funny looking clavatus. And this kind of looks like Palladus without much of the brown markings, but I haven't really took the time to really key it out. Ken mentioned that he read somewhere that some are reverting or Palladus is showing up on Cuesta Ridge. It's not really listed to be there, but I found this one right next to regular clavatus. Clavatus variety gracilis occurs in 2 counties, down in Ventura and LA County. Occurs in May and June. Rocky slope, chaparral, open forest, and often serpentine, serpentinite. 1,300 meters, listed 1B2. And we found it in Topanga Road, which is off of 27. And actually this part here down to the town, it's closed from the burn. So luckily the burn kind of stopped around this area, I think. And then there's also plants up here on Cheney Road, but they're on private property. So we walked back out here and then found some along the road here. And actually somebody from the community center came out with red cones to kind of blocked off the area. So the city, when they weed whack that, they don't weed whack that area because they were flowering around the time they had to weed whack. So they grow under these oak trees in kind of a dapple shade. They're kind of floppy because they're trying to reach out into the sunlight. And you can see the nectary here. This is what it means by depressed. So somebody poked their finger through the dough and you've got a little depression here. And here, the nectaries are quite shallow. And they kind of flop over under these oak trees. And look at all the oak leaves. Here's another one. There weren't very many, but again, a little variation on the markings. And then we have Clavatus variety recurvifolia. It occurs in 2 counties, but it's out in Slow County. It occurs flowering in May through July, rocky slopes, plus or minus 50 meters. It's rare, 1B2, and it's mainly out on the coast. So it's from the Aurora de la Cruz. The common name is the de la Cruz Calochortus, Mariposa. So here's the marker, and you go 1 point something miles. I don't have the actual number for the mileage, but it's right here. And this is the trail. And a lot of people go out there and walk and take pictures, but clueless to some of the rare plants sitting there. It's right on the edge. I mean, the Calochortus is right here on the edge. And this is the trail going out. That's the ocean, Pacific Ocean. Hope this works. Can you guys see the video?
Yeah, we can see it.
So I'm right there on the edge photographing the plants. If it got a little windy, I could get blown off the cliff. And here they're very short and very stout. If you looked at the stem, they're quite thick. And then recurvifolia refers to the recurved leaves. And they don't die. When it flowers, it doesn't die. It doesn't senesce, the technical word. Again, the clubbed hairs, the nectary, also variation of the nectary and the markings. And here's some very close up of the clubbed hairs. And to the untrained eye, you would think this is Clevatus clavatus. It looks very, very similar, if not the same, with the exception of the recurve leaved. So I have a panel of all of the taxa for clavatus. So have here are the flowers coordinating with its nectary. And we have clavatus for the first one, avius for the second one, gracilis, and then we have pallidus, and then we have recurvifolius. And here is its namesake why it's recurvifolius is because of the recurved leaf, and the leaves don't die off or dry up when it flowers. And here's a side-by-side comparison. Clavatus, when it flowers, the basal leaves are dried or withered away. And if you notice, the recurvifolius is quite succulent, still very has a lot of moisture in it. It doesn't dry out. So we go on to Calochortus concolor, which is down in Southern California. Occurs in 4 counties. Flowers in May through July in dry, often granitic slopes and chaparral and yellow pine forests. Elevations about 600 to 2,500 meters. And this is out at Sibbets Flat campground area in San Diego County. Again, for protection, some of them do end up in I think they're yuccas. Again, yellow, it can have rings or no rings, and this is not one of the indicators of the species. It's not one of the IDing. So you can have some that has absolutely no brown markings on it. Pollinator again. Yep, having a party. And then here's we'd call it I forgot what kind of spider. Rebecca, do you remember what kind of spider? It's in the Thomas crab spider. Yes. So this is a crab spider, and it takes several days for it to change color to match the color of the plant or flower that they're inhabiting. So we have Calochortus excavatus, occurs in 2 counties, and one in Inyo and Mono County. Occurs April through May in grassy meadows of shad scale scrub. we've found it in very narrow area, which is mainly in alkaline wet meadows. And this is out in Alabama Hills in Inyo County. And they occur in these alkaline meadows. As it dries out, that's when they start to emerge. But during wet winters, it's flooded with rainwater. And they're white. And if you look against the sunlight, they've kind of got these stripes on it, purpley-ish stripe, but they're actually white when you look at the top view. It almost looks like it looks like a Brunonus, Calochortus brunonus, but it's not because of its location. It's only limited in these alkali wet meadows. Here's a side-by-side comparison of Excavatus and Brunonus. So you've got a similar anther, but you got yellow around the base of the petals. You got the purple patch, and then you got similar looking nectaries, and then you've got that membrane as well as some hair. So Ken and I were discussing maybe Brunonus somehow got stuck in that alkali meadow and they kind of evolve into Excavatus. Looks very, observation. So Calochortus invenustus in 12 counties. So invenustus means plain or not beautiful. The flowers in May through August. Again, dry soils, generally granitic, generally montane and conifer. They're kind of scattered through the lower part of California, from mid California all the way down south. So we found out Weldon Meadow, which is the same meadow we found Calochortus palmeri variety palmeri. So they're really close to each other. And they also have variation in color, more from deep lavender to pale white. So you've got much deeper color here, deeper lavender. And then very prominent markings here. And then if you can see the lower left picture here, you can see this is actually a white flower, white petals with white hairs. So you've got nectaries here. It's got a fringe membrane, dense short hair. You've got some are short, sparse hair to lots of hairs. And then you've got the anthers are purple or yellow, and then the sepals are kind of greenish. And then occasionally you've got this purple spots at the base here. And then the claw is on the shorter side. So it's not a big, robust flower. It's on the middle range. And then again, get photobombed with bees. And also lot of not only bees are pollinators, but also flies. This is a type of Diptera. I'm just photographing and they're just flying by. They're playing. They go bowling, and then they end up as a threesome. And here is another location for invenustus, and this was actually in the same location we found the palmeri, variety palmeri out at the Angeles Crest Highway, the abandoned campground. See, this is white, and the hairs are white. It's much paler, and there's a variation of pink fringes. I mean, just so variable. And if you look at this, I am probably suspecting it has some Kennedy eye in it, because right nearby there was Kennedy eye growing. So the very orange color of the hairs, very suspect. And then this is right next to that patch of the Invenustus. Again, if you look at this Kennedy eye, it's very pale compared to the one next to it. So go on to Calochortus Kennedy eye. Kennedy eye occurs in 7 counties, flowering from May through August. Again, dry soil, more out in the desert areas. Elevation 15 to 3,000 meters. And we actually, yeah, thinking out loud, sorry. All right, here at Kennedy, this is out in Joshua Tree National Park in San Bernardino County. And here the spots of orange. This is on the field trip that we had. And here are what they look like, orange. It's amazing how it's just very pretty. And the mainly short, on the short end of the spectrum. And back again in the Inyo County, Goodale Creek Campground is our go-to campground when we go to that area to botanize. That's Vivian's car. These are the western side of the Sierras. Evening scenery. And then this is somewhere out in Lone Pine, I believe, where there was a fire when we were doing our field trip. So I made that into a black and white. It was very dramatic. Here we have in the Owens Valley area, also in your county, is Kennedy eye, Kennedy eye. They grow in all these rocky kind of soils. Very short and very stout. They can very the leaves literally kind of curl up, trying to keep to themselves rather than spreading out and drying out in the desert. And if you look at the fruit capsules, I mean, my goodness, I mean, it's really, really robust. Here it is. It's the inside, it's the nectaries are black, brown, or maroon. Orange hair, the whole thing's orange. Some are vibrant orange, some are paler. And here's the stigma. That's probably when it's mature and it opens up and it's ready to receive pollen, where this is not dehisced or opened up and it's not ready for pollen reception. Then you've got more bees. Just love to swim in that stuff. And this is some pictures from our field trip from last year, I believe. And we were able to, we got to see some lizards, zebra tail lizards, I believe, and our dangerous way of botanizing sometimes. We're right on the edge of the road. Got to be careful about how we botanize. And then we've got different postures, different ways of photographing. And then, what do you call it? Getting 20 winks, a recharge for the day, taking a nap. And then we have Kennedy eye variety Munsii, and that's in 3 counties. Occurs April to June in heavy to rocky soil in creosote bush, pinyon and juniper woodland, 600 meters to 2,200 meters. And This is a map of how we drove up to Wild Rose Charcoal Kiln. And the plants are close to the kiln on the last 10 miles of the kiln. That's where they're mainly occurring. Here's another view of how we drove, and they're kind of like along this part of the road. Just some scenery, some desert scenery. Here's our borough. And there's Munzii. Munzii is a yellow form of Kennedyi. That's the only difference is the color. And their capsules are kind of striped. Interestingly, it's green on the inner side, the center of the capsule, and then the edges are kind of dark. There's some cactus, and I forget what this is. Anyway, some of the other plants in the area, and here's some more Munzii. Again, yellow, egg yolk yellow color almost, with the dark nectary. It was quite windy that day, so it was very hard. And then different pollinator here is sort of like a mosquito-like insect. There it is. Then we have Calochortus panamotensis. So we continue on to Wild Rose Canyon. It occurs in one county and it flowers June, July. And it's in the dry woodland, juniper woodland area type ecology. So this is Telescope Peak, and then Wild Rose is here. So you drive up to Mahogany Flat Campground. So we camped here, and then we hiked up to the Ben Hill. Now I only made it up to here, and then so Panamotensis, and this is around this location on the trail. And then continue drive up to Mahogany Flat to camp, and then hike around. There's a trail, another view. There's Mahogany Flats, and then it's 9,675 feet in elevation, and it's around here where Panamotensis is. There's the pinyon pine forest. So this was at the end of the campground, and people sit out there on the edge, and this is the afternoon view just before sunset, and this is at sunset, and the evening glow, very beautiful. But at 5 o'clock, that place is so when it's hurricane force wind because of the temperature change during the afternoon, during the day, the place heats up. And as it cools, there's a differential displacement of air pressure. So the wind is howling. So we had to hide in the tent for like an hour. And by about 6 o'clock, it's calm, dead calm, no wind, nothing. And then people come out. There's the campground. There's a trailhead to get to Panamotensis. People like starting like early in the morning and then run up to Telescope Peak and back. Here's a Mahogany Flat Campground at about 8,000 feet. Along the trail, Ken's got the desert manual, looking at the flowers of some buckwheat, I believe. And here I'm enjoying the scenery. And then here's some more on the trailhead. Here's some of the rocks. I believe it's blue-gray argillite. I looked it up. Here's some more sceneries. And then there's these Castanea growing, and then the Penamentensis growing again within these bushes for more protection. And here it is. And then we saw Salvia dorii, just one cluster here of all places. Like, hello. Beautiful clusters, nicely pruned. And then we came beyond these buckwheat, and there was tons of these pollinators, bees, wasps. And here is a video of them. There were hundreds. And here is a closer look at the Penamentensis. It's kind of white, chalky white. And this is taken like just as the sun was going down. And this was the last glimpse that I could, the only flowers that were flowering. I mean, as I was photographing, they're starting to close. So I had to like pry it open, to take pictures of the inside. Here, the signature capsule, striped. And here's the inside. So I took this picture on the way up. And it was lucky that I took it, because if I said, oh, I'll come back and take it later, then I would end up with the one on the right. So I was good. Always do it. Always take the picture when you see it. Don't say come back, because it could be gone. So here's the close-up of the inside. Yellow, kind of yellowish hair. Mainly all chalky white with some yellow colors at the base. And there was, and it kind of, I think it was first confused with Invenustus, because these are all the different Invenustus that we came across, and then you match this against, this is Penamentensis. So, and there's some debate or discussion on that, whether it, but it's a valid species. They did DNA on it. And this is at the top of the trail. And if you see, oops, guess I can't. Oh, here. Do you spot the botanist? Ding dong. Power nap. It was really quiet. That's the fluttering of the locusts flying by. And here's some of the rocks. And that's I think, what was that? There's a radio tower up there. And here's some cactus. Here's down looking at the valley. Here, on our way out, we saw a herd of a group of burros. And then we're on to the Cyclobothra. All right. 8:45. Oh, 9 o'clock. Can we
Maybe
yeah.
we have a couple of questions and a few comments. Do you want to do them now, or?
Oh, I like to get through this because
Okay.
it's almost 9 o'clock, unless
Okay.
you guys want to overtime.
Okay.
So let me get through this Witty Annie. Hi. So go through this very quickly. 7 taxes in California. Here's what it looks like. A lot of hairs, very hairy. So this is Calochortus fimbriatus, occurs in 4 counties. I'm just going to go through this. And we drove, this is out at Los Padres National Forest in Santa Barbara County. So the left side is East Camino Cielo, and the right side is just Camino Cielo. So both sides has fimbriatus on it. And then I found some sweet spots of where they kind of occur. The south to southwest locations. This is some random data. Here's the looking towards the San Rafael Mountains. Here's the Firmiatus. It's looking at the Santa Barbara area. They're along these this side of the road on the banks. They're very tall, about 3 feet, I believe. It's almost as tall as me. And the nectaries are just pretty cool. And here's the nectary that is depressed. Again, the seed capsules, very narrow and long. And they have, and then the what is the stigma kind of stays on. It doesn't dry off. So as it emerges, it looks like a bird's beak, like a little chick beak emerging. Different stages of emerging. And here's the side view. More pollinators. The bumblebee just love to be in it. Also variation in color. Hairs is dots inside. And as I was floating with, I thought this was a tick. It's a red-faced jumping spider. And I was trying to get the face, and I finally got the picture of his face, and it's really, really tiny. And that's how small it is compared to the flower. Bug porn warning, 2 Perdita bees under the flower. Calochortus obispoensis occurs in only 1 county in its namesake. Kind of funky looking flowers. They're quite large. This is out in Cuesta Ridge. Also, pollinator, the beetles love it. There's some beetles that like to crawl in and out of it. Here's some of the features. Petals are yellow, ovate. There's some fringes on the edges, and then the typical it's got the tip is dark tufted hairs. Answers are red, slender filaments, and they've got dense, slender hairs bordered is fuse, and the nectar is round. Some of the trails that we went to, Reservoir Canyon, and up here also has some plants up there. This is along the trail. And this is the funkiest looking flower. Calochortus plumerae, 5 counties, flower May to June. Again, we were back in Topanga State Park. This time we went up the other way, the fire road, and they occur along the fire road and sporadically along trails. Here's the Eagle Spring Fire Road, and then Moosh Trail. Here it is, pink, big, large flowers. They're really tall. They can grow to like 4 feet in length, trying to reach out of the banks. Beautiful pinks, pale pink. And the hairs are yellow with spots, speckled, freckles. Red, brown freckles, bees again. And this is out in Santa Monica Mountains. Again, along the trail. Pink edges. Again, emerging out of as it merges. Side view, here's the dimple of the nectary. Top light view to light up all the interior. Side view. More view. All right. Here's the pale rose pink. When it dries, it's kind of purple. Anyway, so one of the features to look at the petals is that the edges are kind of toothed to complete to entire margins. But some could have a little bit of hair as well. I wouldn't say hair, they're kind of fringe. So anthers, yellow, tan, pointed, dilated base for the filament. So they've got these long hairy hairs with a spots at the end of the base of the hair. Round, nectary, and then there's hidden hair that kind of hides the actual nectary. Here's the fruit, and you can see variations on the petal margin, smoother, playing peekaboo with me. Calochortus tuberensis, one county, flowers May to June, and it's found in serpentinite grassland. So last week somebody mentioned that it was on the east side of the fault, which is true. I had it on the other side where I wrote down the thing with, because I didn't have enough space to write it. So I put the star, the star is here. It is on the east side of the San Andreas Fault. Here is out in Ring Mountain in Marin, also funky looking. Beautiful, but this is the seed capsule. Weirdest looking thing. It looks like a satellite dish with the nectaries. It only occurs in that location. They kind of grow in these rocks as well. They like to hide between rocks. And here is the ocean view. This is out in the peninsula of San Pedro, that area. And here this is a Dudleya. There's Ken kind of on the way out. So Calochortus weedii variety weedii occurs in 5 counties, mostly in the southern part of California. May through August is the flowering time. Dry chaparral, heavy soil. Occurs in less than 1900 meters. So we found this at Carrancha Road in Temecula in San Diego County. We were driving by and I looked up, oh, yellow, there it is. And we parked on the side and clambered up on the edge. They're on this plateau up here. And I say the deerweed, it was as tall as I am. It's huge. And there's, I think, some kind of sunflower. So the weedii was like, I think it was like 4 feet tall. Or as tall as me, under 5 feet. So here's nectary depressed. So it looks like side view. So the anthers has a tip. The sepals are longer than the petals. And they're huge. They're really big. They're like 3 inches wide, some of the flowers. Some are smaller. So the petals are truncate, kind of flattish here. Hairy, yellow sepals, flecks on, freckles on at the end of the base of the hairs. Glabrous, dense hairs bordering the nectary. And then it's fringe. We looked at it, it's fringed. And on the outer side of the petal, it's got this orange and brown markings. And this is a full front view of it. Weedii variety intermedius occurs in 5 counties down in Southern California. Occurs June, July in dry, rocky, open slopes in less than 680 meters. It's a rare 1B2. And it occurs in this area. This is out at Rancho Santa Margarita. They're along this road, and I believe it could occur in O'Neill Regional Park here. This is where we found splendens. And then this is where we found it right along the road. So we parked on the side and we like kind of shimmied ourselves against the wall because there were big trucks driving by. So it could be in here as well. We didn't go in because we had to pay. So we decided to go here. So here it is, kind of yellowish with pink front edges. It's like dipped in pink frosting. They're quite large, if not as large as the weedii, but it's pale white on the inside with yellow hairs, but the outside is yellowish, pale yellow. And there's the pink frosting on the edge. And if you note, there are little, we'd call it hair. It's fringed to ciliate on the edges. And there's nectary. Here's a close-up of the nectary and the hairs. So intermedius has this fringe, and the color is got this frosted or pink or maroon with pale white to yellow. Weedii is all yellow with the pink, the brown edges. The hairs are a little more wider versus this is more thread-like. So here's the front view. Here's the front view of it. And this is the comparison to plumerae. That's the typical plumerae. And intermedius, I believe, is supposed to has some influence of plumerae in it. And then I found a plumerae that looks very much like an intermedius, but because weedii intermedius did not occur in this location, so I am listing it as plumerae, and had plumerae all around the same place. All right, we're at the end of it. The takeaway for the Calochortus genus, did we all have fun? So my takeaway, what I learned from this, doing this research or doing this treasure hunt was that California has the most species within the United States and North America, with 73 taxa in the US and 52 taxa in California alone. So I believe that because California has many different geographic provinces, we talked about the 10 geographic provinces that we had talked about last week. There are 3 main clusters having 5 to 6 geographic provinces that kind of meet together. And that, I believe, makes it a breeding ground for speciation. So here it is, with diversity in California. Here are some of the data information on and then giving rise to 72 taxa in California. So weather, rainfall, topographic. So the treasure hunt continues outside California. And stay tuned for the treasure hunt for North America. We'll be going to Utah, Washington, Idaho, some crazy places. This is out in Nevada, Ruby Mountains. And I give thanks to my husband, my honey bear, who's the driver. And thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Dee. That's
Oh,
just the most
wow,
wonderful.
under 9 o'clock.
That's the most wonderful set of pictures I've ever seen in a long time. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. No, thanks for everybody for being so patient for me to go through all this information.
Yeah, so we have a few questions and a few comments. Rebecca Reynolds wants to know, for your arrow enhanced pictures, where do you get the information on characteristics? From one or many different sources?
Oh, many sources. So, let's see if I could go back. If I could share. So I have a lot of resources I go to. Here are the list of resources. The book Calochortus by Gerritsen and Ron Parson, Jepson Manual online, iNaturalist, Cow Flora. Um, I looked through the flora of Oregon to check some of the other species. Google, all kinds of things that come up to get locations. Emailing people in the iNaturalist to see they share their locations.
Yeah, thank you. And Roger McFarlane wants to ask, can you say something about photographing the plants? You have beautiful pictures of the interior of the flowers with wonderful depth of field. Do you remove flowers to photograph them? What kind of camera do you use?
Let's see. Where is Calochortus? I think so. If you, let's see. So I would, let me pull up so I use, for the really good detail, beautiful pictures, I have to use my Olympus camera. And it's one of the lighter cameras on the market because I'm just too small to carry big ones. Let's see if you can see. Here's my camera. I also use a flash. I finally learned to use the flash after 40 years of photographing. I just finally bit the bullet, got myself a little flash with a flash diffuser, and that helped with photographing, diffusing the light, getting close so that I can get a bigger, greater depth of field. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, so do you remove flowers to photograph
Oh,
them?
move on. No, I never pick. Well, I wouldn't say never. I will not do that on rare plants. If it's the common one and if it's already kind of sad looking, I don't really try and pick them. I try to stick my camera in as close as I can. I have a macro lens and I'll hold on to it and then photograph it, but I will avoid trying to pick on it. The only time I picked on it was Invenusis because number one, they were common, and number two, it was I accidentally broke it. So usually they're accident taking it apart rather than purposely taking them apart.
Intentional, yeah,
Yeah, they're all
for sure.
unintentional because sometimes they're so fresh, they're easy to snap off. And I was like, ah.
Right, right. And, and as part of CNPS community, we feel a collective ethical need to not be picking flowers in the wild, right? So,
Right.
yeah. So does Dave Johnston wants to know if Kennedyi ever gets redder than those shown, or are they primarily orange?
They don't get red. They just get this. That's the. Have you seen some of the pictures of Kennedy? That's the red or most orange that it'll get. It doesn't get. It'll go paler, but it won't get to the point where it's black, I don't think, or
Yeah,
dark.
that's in California, I suspect, because Linda Terrell comments that Scott was just commenting that they are more red in Arizona.
More
Uh,
red? Oh,
and there's a,
well, yeah, so when I go out of California, then I'll talk about the ones I haven't gotten in Arizona yet.
yeah, and she also says that some in the Panamans are very sort of red orange, I guess.
So the
So,
one out in Panama, so that could be Munzii. And then Munzii could back cross with Kennedy because they're both in the same location. So it could hybridize with each other and you get a paler Munzii slash paler Kennedy.
mm, yeah, so Dave just does recall seeing some that were more sort of red orange, I guess. And
Yeah, I
then,
mean, yeah. As with
yeah,
nature, it's very dynamic.
right, right. And then there's a comment about the Panamentensis being right on the Mahogany Flats campground. Linda was commenting on that, Linda Terra.
Uh-huh.
And Norma Jean says, thank you so very much for this labor of love, sharing your treasure hunt, your superb photography, and all the work to create this marvelous presentation. You are so very gifted, Dee. We
Oh,
miss
thank
you at Edgewood,
Oh,
but are so glad you're willing to be
Bill Cole.
there, but, with these exceptional programs. So, there are people
Oh,
thanking
hi,
you,
Norma.
Linda and Vivian and Toshi Armstrong and Andy Kuhn says, thank you for this amazing presentation and research on the Calochortus. Dave Johnson says, thank you. Linda says, thank you again. And Deanna Shields says, when is your book coming out?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, you have to, you have to put this in
Yeah.
the book.
So I'm thinking about it because I opened up a app to make a book.
Nice.
I haven't gotten past the cover yet.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yes.
because there's a lot of data, useful information.
Right.
It'll probably be just an annotation of all the resources that I've looked into and
Right.
more like a field notebook type thing than rather like what Ron Parson has done.
Right. Right.
I, yeah.
And
So,
Susan Warden says, beautiful. And Judy Schwartz actually comments and thanks you for sharing all the pollinators in the Calochortus. So that was wonderful. Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks, Dee.
you're welcome. And
Let me just double check that there were no questions on.
how do I send myself, you can like send this chat to myself to look at, right?
I'll
I
send
can,
it to you,
yeah,
the
you
whole
can
thing
send
to
it
you,
to me.
Dee,
Okay,
afterwards.
thanks. Okay, great, thanks. That'd be appreciated. Yeah, so labor of love. I pardon all my stuttering, my nervousness. Um, but yeah, so I'll be working on the North America section. We have yet to go to Mexico, Baja and all that. So it's just mainly the US. I don't think I'll go to Canada. I might not be able to come back. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we're going to go to New Mexico to look for Gunnison, another variety of Gunnison, which is the yellow version of that. Pulcher? I can't pronounce it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there'll be more. Yeah, we're going to be going this year in July to look for it.
great.
Well, when you're done, you've got to come back and do more
Yeah.
talks for us.
Yeah, I'll be probably hitting all the other native plant society. Hey, I got this thing. I don't know.
But Dee, thank you so much because I mean, it's amazing, but it's also this wonderful resource that we now have that people can look at for years to come when they want to
Right.
learn more and find these
Yeah.
things. So thank
Yeah.
you.
So I'm sharing locations because these locations are actually found to be public information. So a lot of them are obscure, but I find in Cal Flora, and it's not obscured, so I make it public. So I'm trusting everybody who go look for it is to take care, tread carefully, and pick nothing but just pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any more
Right.
questions? Any more?
Oh, Linda says, let's go to Mexico.
I was tempted to get Bart to take us, but then life, yeah, then everything else happened. Yeah, I tried to get a future to go to Baja when the Baja chapter formed, but
Oh,
never got the only thing. Yeah, if we want to go down there, we should connect with the Baja chapter and have them do a field trip for us.
yeah, yeah. You
You
should
should
get
get
over
over
to
the
Bart.
bar.
Yeah,
Yeah, Bart
too.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
talked
talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feedback.
All
All
right,
right.
taking
Taking
off.
off.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Vicky. Thanks
Thanks
so
so
much.
much.
This is
Thank you.
Stella. Thank you so much.
Oh, Stella,
Stella,
hi.
hi.
Yeah, it is really wonderful presentation and great
Oh,
good photos.
Well,
well,
thanks
thanks.
for
How are you
Hey,
doing
hey.
in Oregon?
what's that?
What's that?
How are you doing in Oregon?
Oh, we're doing
Oh, we're
fine.
doing fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah.
That's great. So, are you coming back here anytime soon?
I
I
am
am
here
here
in
in
California
California
right
right
now.
now.
Oh, you are in California right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Henry drove
Drove
up
up.
I
yesterday.
see.
Why
Why
do
do
I
I have a
Yeah, there's some feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
opening
opening
up
up
the
the
discussion,
discussion,
if you want
want
to
to
talk
talk
about
about
it,
it, or
or
Vivian,
Vivian,
no.
what feedback? Hello?
So, it might have been
That better.
Stella. I just muted Stella and I think it stopped.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
No.
No.
No,
No,
yeah,
yeah,
Stella,
Stella,
unmuted.
unmuted.
I think it
I
might be
think it might
Stella.
be still.
Anyway. Oh, hey, Sue Kelso. Hi, Sue.
Hey, Sue is our newest CNPS SCV board member. She
Oh, really?
got
Congratulations.
appointed to the board yesterday.
Yay. Oh, she did. Oh, there she is.
Getting in with both feet now.
I see Jane Gomery. Jane, hi, Jane. Hi, Holly. Hey, Don. Everybody. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And yeah, I get.
That was great, Dee. You did such a wonderful job. It was incredible.
That was truly amazing. I mean, the amount of information there is extraordinary.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I have some old maps that Ken made me when I was YSI director years and years ago on not Calochortus, but let's see, some other treasures. So this was a whole new category, but wow, thank you so much.
Oh, you're
A
very
pleasure.
welcome. You're very welcome. I'll mention Ken's not here today. He's up in Oregon and he doesn't know how to get on Zoom.
Oh,
So I'll mention that you mentioned him.
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
No, Ken helped us with the CNPS YSI Wildflower Show, which was done in the 1980s
Yeah.
with Joanne Jaget.
Oh yeah. Was that
And
like out in Coyote Point or something like that?
no, in Los Gatos. It was at Vasona Park.
Mm. Okay. I don't know about that.
But that was a long time ago, 1980s.
Oh, 80s. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
just becoming an adult.
Anyway, say hi to Ken for me.
I will indeed, Dave.
All
Thank
right. Okay.
Oh, we
Bye-bye.
have another
Okay,
question,
bye.
Dee.
Yeah,
Linda Terrell wants to know, where do you get so much energy?
energy. Oh, I don't know. Ken winds me up. I don't know. When I get onto it, it's interesting, like little breadcrumb. I mean, even today I was still working on the presentation because I'm finding all these new breadcrumbs and information. So, the map I did for, all those maps for the geological provinces, I found that I found it just before the weekend before before
The
the
last talk? You did it
before the last one. Yeah. I just like, oh, this is cool. Slap, slap, slap. But oh, this is even cooler. Look at all these, it's just all these data. Yeah, I'm really bad at math. I can't count for the life of me, but I like looking at numbers, patterns. I look for patterns. And
Yeah, that was fascinating, all the analyses you did. So that was, yeah, the whole thing. It's been wonderful.
thank you. Yeah, that's the only way I can understand all the stuff I did, because otherwise it's all just a blob of photos, and I can't, I won't be able to make heads or tail of what I'm talking about without doing all that analysis. It'll be just showing all these pretty pictures, but what's the context and things like that.
Yeah, that was fabulous. Okay, I think it's 9:15.
Yeah.
So this is the last chance. Any questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you again. And I guess you've got some hand clapping going on too. There's some
Oh,
virtual
yeah. And I do thank Linda. Linda, I think, gave me a couple of points. Gave me a couple locations. Linda Terrell. And
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, totally and grateful for all the lat longs people share with me.
All right. Well, I think we'll close it down for the evening, but
All
thank you
right.
everybody for attending. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Dee, for the talk.
Oh, you're
Thank you,
very
Radhika,
welcome.
for taking care of the chat and the questions. And
Don't forget to send me the chat.
and I will send you the chat. And
Yeah,
I guess
appreciate that.
that does it for the evening then. Hope to
Okay.
see folks at our upcoming events. There's a lot going on. The garden tour the weekend after next, and the Wildflower Show at the end of April, the last Saturday in April at West Valley College. So
Yeah.
good night, everybody.
All right. Good
Good night.
night. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.